Today we're checking out two DSLRs that you can pick up for right around 50 bucks used, which essentially makes these the absolute most affordable interchangeable lens cameras that you can buy. And yes, even considering their price, these are going to be better options than your phone or a point and shoot for plenty of types of photography. But of course, like everything, these still come with some quirks and downsides that we'll get into a little bit later. Now also stick around to the end because I'm going to go over where I actually source my used cameras and camera gear from. But without further ado, let's check these out and talk about why a $50 DSLR might be the perfect way to get into photography. So first up is the Canon Rebel XS. Now I believe this has a few different names depending on which country you're in. So it's the Canon Rebel XS in North America, and I believe the 1000D in other countries. So this is a 10 megapixel DSLR that Canon released in 2008, so coming up on 20 years ago at this point. This camera has an APS-C size sensor, and it's of course a DSLR, so it's going to be bulkier than a lot of point and shoots. It's going to be a lot bulkier than something like your smartphone, and that alone has some good and bad things about it. Obviously this is not going to be pocketable, especially once you add a lens to this, and it's not going to be as portable as a tiny little camera would be. But of course you get things like full dedicated dials and buttons for changing your settings, rather than having to jump into a menu or a touchscreen or something like that to change anything. That's a huge advantage of a DSLR like this. There's literally a dedicated button for ISO, for changing your shutter speed, for changing your white balance and things like that. It's just a lot more meaningful to actually shoot with. It has a bigger, bulkier grip that just feels better to hold. And really those are the reasons why a DSLR is just going to feel more substantial. It's going to feel more meaningful holding and taking photos with this. But it does come in at 450 grams for just the body. That's before you add on lenses, which can vary a ton in size, weight, and length. But also you get things like a hot shoe built in, so you can add a flash to this, or even a real flash built into the camera, which most phones just have LED flashes, which are nowhere near as bright or good. Now for some other basic specs, you get a 2.5-inch LCD screen on the back. You can review your photos, you can go through the menu, but there's no touch screen and it doesn't articulate in any way. But it does have live view shooting, which isn't as common in really old DSLRs like this. Now this camera has a max burst rate of about 3 photos per second, so it can't do anything super fast for sports photography or anything like that. And also there's no video on this camera. Actually, neither of these cameras can record video at all. These were before the times of interchangeable lens cameras recording video, which honestly can be a huge deal breaker for a lot of people, again, depending on what you really want to use these for. Now you are getting Canon's EF mount, which has pretty much an unlimited selection of lenses at all different price points, all different focal lengths for pretty much anything you'd need, which is basically the biggest selling point of an interchangeable lens camera, are all the options of lenses that you can upgrade to in the future. You can get tilt shift lenses, you can get prime lenses with super fast apertures to get really good low light or really good background separation. Basically the lens selection is the #1 reason you'd get an interchangeable lens camera like this, especially at this price point. And later in the video when I talk about where I source my used cameras from, those same places are great options for getting used lenses as well. Alright, so the next camera I'm talking about today, this is a DSLR of course from Nikon, and this was released in 2005. So this one is actually over 20 years old at this point, which is crazy to think about. And this camera has a 6 megapixel APS-C sized CCD sensor, which is an older sensor technology that a lot of people really like. That's a topic that I'm really not going to get very into in this video, but this does have a CCD sensor if that's something you specifically want to look for. You're getting Nikon's F mount on this camera, which is almost as versatile as Canon's EF mount. There are so many lenses available for this because it's been out for a long time at this point. You can get lenses at any price point, any focal length, any size, any weight. Again, there's just an unlimited selection of lenses for the F mount or the EF mount. And something that the D50 stands out over a lot of other Nikon cameras is it has this screw autofocus motor. So you can still use some of Nikon's really early autofocus lenses that are probably like 20 years older than this even. Like some of Nikon's old 90s lenses that just started to get autofocus. They needed a specific autofocus motor built into the camera that a lot of newer Nikon DSLRs just got rid of that because those are outdated lenses. And this camera has a max photo burst rate of about 2.5 photos per second, so really nothing too great either, especially these days. It has a 2-inch LCD screen on the back, but there's no live view shooting, so the only way to look at what you're taking a picture of before you take the photo is down this optical viewfinder. That's how you're going to find framing, find focus. It's how you're going to make sure your exposure is set and everything like that. But then after you take a photo, you can review it with this tiny little LCD screen. It's just not really going to look accurate. It looks totally different than what your actual photo looks like. So it's not really a good idea to use this as a guide for seeing what your photo really looks like. which again kind of brings you back to that more raw, almost like film shooting experience. Versus when you pull out your phone or a point and shoot, you don't even have to think about it. You just pull it up, take a photo, and it's usually going to be a decent photo no matter what. Now, even with affordable cameras, there's one part that gets expensive fast: storage. If you shoot photos or videos for long enough, all the SSDs, hard drives, flash drives, SD cards, all of that piles up and it just gets expensive and cluttered fast. But that's where today's sponsor, Ugreen, comes in with the Ugreen NAS DXP 4800 Pro. This is essentially your own private cloud at home that has everything stored locally rather than someone else's cloud somewhere. Now, the part that really makes a NAS worth it for creators and photographers, you can access any of your media, videos, files, project files, anything that's on your NAS from any device on your local network and even remotely through the Ugreen app. And you can even edit straight off your NAS with SMB. Like I said, this is essentially your own cloud that you privately control and actually own all of your data. It's not just stored somewhere that you don't even know. So no more copying things back and forth between random hard drives and SSDs or guessing where your files are even located. You can even set up RAID, so if one of your drives do end up failing, all of your data is still going to be safe. And it'll even sync with your cloud storage you already have, if you have Google Drive or Dropbox or something like that set up. And then if you want to go even further, it runs Docker and virtual machines as well. Now, spec-wise, it can hold up to 144 terabytes across its 4 bays. That would handle up to 3.8 million photos, which I'm sure is more than most of us have. Plus there's 2 M.2 NVMe slots and even upgradable RAM. And with the 10 gig Ethernet on the back, you can transfer up to 1.25 gigabytes per second, which is incredibly fast for transferring and editing files. So if you want to learn more, check my link down in the description, and you can even get up to $300 off for Prime Day. Now let's get back to it. All right, now I want to go over some of the pros and cons of getting into photography with an ultra budget used DSLR versus a point and shoot or a smartphone or something like that. Because I do think there are plenty of reasons why one might be a better option for some people and the other might be a better option for others. Because in the grand scheme of things, there's really no such thing as the best camera for everybody. Every single person has slightly different use cases, different things they want to take photos of. And honestly, everybody's just different. So I want to talk about why one might be a better option over the other and vice versa. So when it comes to a dedicated interchangeable lens camera like this, the biggest reason why these stand out over all these other options, you just can't fake the look of a large sensor camera like this. The APS-C sensors in these DSLRs are just so much bigger than any smartphone or any point and shoot camera will be. And large sensors like this just have a huge advantage in low light performance and just the organic look coming out of it, and not needing to use computational photography to even get a usable image, which a lot of these tiny sensors need to do. You just can't fake the look of having a larger sensor like a Micro Four Thirds, APS-C, or especially a full frame sensor. They just look more natural and organic than a small sensor can ever really do. Now also, like I kind of brought up earlier, they just feel more substantial to hold, to use. They have all these dedicated buttons and dials. You know, these are so much more of a tool than, you know, obviously your phone when a camera is just an afterthought, or even a point and shoot where these are meant to do everything for you and make decisions for you. A DSLR is where you make all the decisions. You decide your focal length, your shutter speed, your ISO, all of your settings, your autofocus settings. You really make all the decisions, again, more like a film camera rather than these where they kind of do everything for you. And now for the reasons why one of these might be a better option for you, we can honestly just kind of backtrack on everything I just talked about. These are a lot smaller, a lot more portable, a lot simpler. If you don't necessarily want to dive into photography as this big hobby that you need to learn everything about and learn the things about the exposure triangle and editing raw photos, you just want to get good photos and you don't care about all of the other aspects of photography, that's where a point and shoot is just going to be a great option. You just don't have to really think about it as much, but it is still a dedicated camera. Or your smartphone, if you really don't want to think about it and you just want to be able to get pictures at all. Smartphones are obviously fantastic these days, and especially for video recording, for vlogging, content creation, and things like that. Smartphones are just great options. So another big thing is, of course, point and shoots or your phone, everything like that. It already has a lens built in. You don't need to purchase a lens separately, but you are just getting what you get with these. Whatever zoom there is, however far you can zoom or however wide it goes, whichever lens features a point and shoot has, you just have to stick with that. You can't change it. Whereas generally a DSLR you're going to buy is the body only, unless you find one with a kit lens or other lenses or something. So of course, after you buy a DSLR, you're going to have to spend on a lens to even use this thing at all. Now I'll link some budget recommended lenses down in the description, but honestly for the most part, one of the most budget lenses is a 50mm f1.8 or a kit lens or an 18-135. This will be a really versatile lens. And all of these are around $100 or maybe even more than $100. So even though you're only spending $50 on the DSLR, you do end up having to spend extra on a lens. The best part about that is eventually when you upgrade your camera, as long as it has the same lens mount, you can use all your lenses on the next camera you get. Now I get tons of questions asking where I find my used cameras and lenses from, so I pretty much have 3 websites that I always look on first if I can't find something at like a thrift store or garage sale or flea market or something like that. I will always check these 3 sites and pretty much just go with whichever one has the best deal or the best condition that I'm looking for. Obviously the supply and demand of used camera gear especially can really change the pricing and availability of them. Alright, so let's jump into these, and I'm going to shop for the Canon Rebel XS, one of the cameras we're talking about in today's video. Okay, first up is KEH. So this is one of the largest sites that sells used camera gear. They're really trustworthy. I've never had any issues with them. So let's go ahead and search the Canon Rebel XS and see what we're looking at for pricing. All right, so there's a silver and there's a black one. Let's go to this one, and there's 2 available. A bargain condition for 46 bucks, excellent condition for 62. And it looks like right here, the actual item isn't pictured. These are general photos, and then it shows the conditions right here that you can select from. It's really simple, straightforward. They have a great return policy. They buy used camera gear as well. And then next up, we have eBay. Obviously, this isn't quite as trustworthy since you're buying from all these different sellers, but eBay does have a really good money back guarantee, so pretty much no matter what, you're really protected as a buyer. So there's gonna be a lot more options on eBay, and everybody can just price things however they want. So it'll take a little bit more digging and searching to find, but let's go ahead and select used condition. Let's do sort by lowest price. And then obviously on eBay, there's auctions as well where you can sometimes find better pricing. Now it looks like there's a bunch of models here. These are actually the film Rebel XS, it looks like. Now obviously you have to keep this in mind as well on eBay. Other things might come up. You really need to make sure you know what you're looking for. All right, yeah, a little bit more searching, but we found some options here. We have one for $49 with free shipping. We have one for $45 with $7 shipping, 53 bucks. So it looks like a little bit more affordable on eBay here, but obviously you have to really look at each individual seller, each individual item. This one's really beat up, but again, for 35 bucks with free shipping for a working camera, that's a pretty great deal if you're willing to save like 15 bucks or if your budget is really that limited. Again, a camera like this obviously doesn't look amazing, but it's a tool. It'll get the job done. It's still working. All right, now the last site that I use that a lot of times ends up having the best deal somehow, and I end up buying a lot from this site. This is mpb.com. All things considered, this is pretty much just like KEH. It's a really reputable company that purchases and sells used camera gear. So let's search Canon Rebel XS. Here we go, 5 available. Let's do sort low to high. And then also we can see here is MPB actually photographs each individual item separately. So you will see the exact condition of the item. So obviously eBay does that because it's individual sellers, but KEH actually just has those reference images, so they don't show the actual condition of your specific item. So I really like being able to actually see the individual camera or lens that you're purchasing. And they have all the other info, shutter count, things like that. And it looks like these are right around 46, 65 bucks, 67 bucks. I guess pretty similar to KEH, maybe a little bit more affordable, all things considered. And of course, on the extreme end, you have eBay, which beats those by a little bit more, but these aren't going to be quite as good condition probably. So I'm not really going to recommend any of these 3 over the other. What I would recommend is searching all 3 of them every time you look into purchasing a used camera or lens. And usually there's one of them that has a slightly better deal than the rest, and it's not always the same one.